When we read Quran, we read Seerah, meaning biographies of our pious predecessors mentioned in history, then you'll find many accounts of our pious saints. They were also confined. These personalities were also imprisoned for some reason. Interesting fact is, even in such condition, they did some sort of work. Like, for example, Sayyidina Yusuf ala nabiyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam remained in a jail, and this account is mentioned in Quran. He alayhi salam was put into jail. Then what did he do there? He started preaching Tawheed, oneness of Allah in jail. Started preaching Islam there, started preaching message of Allah. He alayhi salatu wassalam started educating prisoners, started guiding them. And likewise, let me mention a very interesting account. It's about Imam Sarkhasi rahmatullahi alayh. He was a great Imam of Hanafi school of thought, and he is amongst Ashab Tarjih, a personality who prefers one opinion over other opinions after assessing and evaluating different proofs. Imam Sarkhasi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh was very truthful and straightforward. He would talk straight, tell the truth, and he wouldn't get scared even from the king. So once upon a time, he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh mentioned something right in front of a ruler. That ruler imprisoned him. He imprisoned him for a very long time. Not for a short while, very long time. But what did he do in prison? Subhanallah. He was not imprisoned in a jail, but he was confined in a well. Inside a well. His students used to come and sit around that well. Now what they used to do was, they used to ask questions from outside, and Imam Sarkhasi alayhi rahmah would answer them from inside the well. And in this way, he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi wrote many books. Yes, in the state when he was confined inside a well, he wrote many books. Amongst them is a book called Masboote Sarakhsi. Do you know how many volumes does that book possess? It has 30 volumes, which was written inside the well. Did you notice? And he was imprisoned. What an amazing work was completed by him. And likewise, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayh, he alayhi rahmah was also imprisoned for a very long time. What did Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal alayhi rahmah did inside the prison? He alayhi rahmah started leading prayers in jail, and in addition to that, he alayhi rahmah started educating people there, educating the prisoners. This is one thing. And likewise, when foreigners occupied subcontinent and ended Islamic rule after taking over the administration in order to establish their own rule, what they did was they imprisoned many big Islamic scholars because they had issued verdict against them. They imprisoned big Islamic scholars. So when they imprisoned those scholars, many are amongst those Islamic scholars who wrote books during their imprisonment. Amongst them is the name of Allama Fazl Haq Khair Abadi rahmatullahi alayh. During imprisonment, he wrote Atharatul Hindiyya. He wrote this book, and during imprisonment, those who wrote book is another great name, Allama Inayat Ahmad Kakorvi rahmatullahi alayh. He alayhi rahmah also wrote a book during imprisonment, Ilm al-Sigha. This is that book which is a course book of our Dars-e-Nizami, Alim course. And in same imprisonment, he alayhi rahmah wrote a book on the seerah of Prophet of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam, named as Tawarikh Habib-e-Ilah. Now look at these Islamic scholars who are imprisoned, they are in jail. That life is more difficult than a person's life who confines himself within his own home. At home, person is mentally and physically free. He has all sorts of comforts which are not available to a prisoner. But even being in prison, these Islamic scholars, they wrote books, served Islam. And there's a very big list of such scholars. I remember the names of those tafasir which were written inside the prison. When these Islamic scholars were imprisoned, they thought if we are not able to work outside, then we should work and serve our religion from inside the jail. They wrote commentaries of Quran, they wrote books during imprisonment.
We love Madani Channel, we love Madani Channel, we love Madani Channel.